I don't get all the talk about Inoue versus Gervonta Davis. Inoue is a good fighter in Japan. Inoue is a good fighter for his weight class, not no Gervonta weight class. You seen this tweet from Mr. Quad Life Michael on Twitter. He tells Gervonta Davis, yo, you versus Inoue is a fight that boxing fans deserve. Gervonta Davis said, I'm the only fighter y'all want to see in the ring with everybody. It don't even matter the weight class. Y'all must want to see Inoue get hurt. In my opinion, I wouldn't mind seeing the fight. I wouldn't mind seeing the hype job Inoue get put to sleep by Tank Davis. Fight Hub TV posted this on Twitter. It says, true or false? Inoue should be considered as a top 10 fighter of all time.
That's so stupid.
I barely give the man a top 10 fighter of today. What y'all talking about all time for? You see, this is the problem with boxing. Somebody could be famous in a whole nother country, not ever be tested, and y'all gonna call the man top 10 of all time.
I don't speak English.
Do y'all know why Manny Pacquiao is considered a top 10 fighter of all time? Because Manny Pacquiao came to the United States and moved up 8 weight classes. Once Inoue leaves Japan, comes to the States, lives in the States, moves up 8 weight classes, then maybe you could call the man great. Until then, he ain't nothing but a hype job in Japan, who makes fighters go to the country of Japan, breathe the Japanese air, drink the Japanese water, eat from the Japanese restaurants, and adapt to that Japanese time zone. Stop the cap, Tank puts this dude to sleep.
Brutal knockout.
And if you box, more than likely you know how to do ab work. If you box, more than likely you know how to work out your stomach. Teofimo Lopez posted this video on Instagram. He at the boxing gym showing fighters how to do leg lifts. This is nothing impressive. I'm sure these fighters already knew how to do leg lifts. But Teofimo Lopez is acting like he teaching y'all some. But Theo did an interview with Ring Magazine. Teofimo Lopez had a crazy suggestion. Teofimo Lopez said, quote, how about we do undisputed fights for 15 rounds instead of 12? Low-key, I think that's a good and bad idea. Bad idea because we got fighters like Shakur Stevenson. Could y'all imagine Shakur Stevenson running for 15 rounds? It's bad enough we gotta see Shakur Stevenson running for 12. I wouldn't want to see a 15-round fight with Shakur Stevenson. Then you got guys like Gervonta Tank Davis, who don't even need 12 rounds.
That's how I'm coming.
I think it's a good suggestion, but in today's boxing, I would not want to see fighters fight 15 rounds. As a matter of fact, the only fight I would want to see 15 rounds in would be Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney, because you know what would happen. All 15 rounds.
Him and Diddy was in the pool.
Speaking of Shakur Stevenson cousin, Mr. Zaquin Moses, aka Mr.
I know Southpaw TV.
had his weigh-in for his fight on the undercard tomorrow with Diego Pacheco and Steven Nelson. Zaquin Moses is not an entertaining fighter. In Zaquin Moses' pro debut, the man went all 4 rounds. The man definitely ain't got no power. You could tell he's Shakur Stevenson cousin.
Fuck you, dumbass nigga.
Speaking of Team Shakur Stevenson, Keyshawn Davis posted up this video on Instagram. It says, we working February 14th and the new. He working with Bomac. Nobody really care. More than likely, Keyshawn Davis will probably beat Mr. Belichick. Keyshawn Davis will probably become a champion on February 14th. Nobody care.
Cause he been tricking the boxing game for too long.
Fuck up, bitch.
You see, if Keyshawn Davis had a plan to fight the man that beat him 4 times in the amateurs, maybe Keyshawn Davis will become a fan favorite. But Keyshawn Davis refuses to say the name, Andy Cruz. Speaking of Andy Cruz, the man had his weigh-in. He fighting on the undercard tomorrow for that Diego Pacheco versus Steven Nelson fight. Speaking of Diego Pacheco and Steven Nelson, they had their weigh-in. Low-key, I'm rooting for Diego Pacheco to stop this dude. Diego Pacheco is Team Benavidez. Steven Nelson is Team Bud Crawford. And Steven Nelson is the type to play victim. Live in victimization culture. Y'all saw what the man said yesterday about Diego Pacheco.
Mexican, find the matchroom, you know, he take a loss, he can bounce back. I'm 36 from Omaha, Nebraska.
Steven Nelson is the type that if he loses tomorrow, he probably gonna try to pull the race card, that's right. But I don't think the fight goes all 12 rounds. Diego Pacheco is gonna stop this dude. Diego Pacheco is gonna dominate this dude. I saw the dude fight. We know how Diego Pacheco fights. Diego Pacheco is just levels above this dude skill-wise. I can't wait for the main event tomorrow. Mark my words, this man will not see the 5th round.
You know what I'm saying, baby?
And I'm glad Bud Crawford is gonna be in the building. I'm glad that Steven Nelson's best buddy, Terrence Bud Crawford, is gonna be watching the man get destroyed. Speaking of Terrence Bud Crawford, the man did an interview at Boxing Scene. Terrence Bud Crawford said on the Canelo Alvarez fight, "This is what all great fighters are about." And yo, Bud Crawford, you is a great fighter, bro. You was the pound for pound king of this era. But you can't move up to 168 and beat the Canelo Alvarez. It's not gonna happen. Bud Crawford said, "I'm gonna feel great at 168. I don't need to worry about weight. I know I'm gonna feel great."
Stop the cap.
Bud went on to say that there is milestones that you gotta hit in boxing. Low key, I think that Bud's gonna get hurt. Bud Crawford will be fighting at 168, but the man walks around at about 168. Canelo fights at 168, but the man walks around at about 200 pounds.
I told you he's a liar.
To all of y'all Bud Crawford fanboys who never cut weight a day in their life, y'all wouldn't know the first thing about cutting weight. Bud Crawford's natural walk around weight is about 168. Canelo natural walking around weight is about 220. There are weight classes for a reason. I can't wait to see Canelo Alvarez stop this dude, especially because Bud Crawford is Shakur Stevenson idol. That's right. That's the only reason I am rooting for Canelo Alvarez, because Shakur Stevenson looks up to Bud Crawford.
I've never been overmatched like that.
And I saw this on Twitter from Mr. Ray Jackson. Ray Jackson tells Bill Haney, "Hey yo, is this you?"
Hey Rolly, if you want to park Devin's 4x4 or the Wraith, the Phantom, or the Virgil, you can get a job over here.
Crazy how things change in boxing and life in general. Bill Haney was roasting Rolly Romero, cooking Rolly Romero. Now his son is fighting on Rolly Romero undercard. Devin Haney is fighting on a Rolly Romero undercard.
Stop talking about that.
In my personal opinion, I don't think that we'll ever see Devin Haney on a main event again. I don't think that Devin Haney deserves to fight on a main event ever again in his life. And like I told y'all, don't be surprised if Jose Ramirez shocks everybody and stops Devin Haney. Devin got a glass jaw.
Boots is overrated.
He been tricking the boxing game for too long. Too many years.